who are seeing us through the internet. Welcome to you all. Thank you for being here. I'm going to talk about something I found in the Bible that I thought was apropos for right now. It's from Genesis 1:31. Oh, it's familiar. Oh my. God saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good. Now, why in the world would I choose that particular verse? Things are not very good right now, certainly in this country and certainly around the world. We have a terrible pandemic. Economically, things are not good. People are desperately unhappy with the way they have been treated. So many problems going on right now. Millions, not millions, well, yes, millions, sick with this coronavirus. So many dead around the world. What is very good about that? How can we find good within that? And yet he said that. God said that to us, that there is good right here. See, that's the trick. That's where we have to keep reminding ourselves that we don't judge just by what we see. You know, somebody walks down the street toward us and they look, not very nice, kind of disheveled and so forth. And we think, some bum. But that's judging from the outside. That man could be a Nobel Prize winner, and he just doesn't pay very much attention to the outside. We don't judge by the surface appearance, and that's something we have to remind ourselves of all the time. God saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good. We have to posit our faith in those words. God knew what he was talking about, because as sure as I'm standing here, I believe firmly that greater good than we can imagine is going to come out of this difficult time. I've talked about that before, probably. Forget what I said, a week, 2 weeks, 3, 4 weeks ago. But it's the truth, and it bears repeating. We have to keep reminding ourselves. The good is coming forth through this very, very difficult time. And as we do that, we ensure ourselves inwardly, we guard ourselves inwardly from getting despondent, feeling hopeless about things, having a sense of what's going to happen next, what awful thing is going to happen next, because there have been such a series of them. Remind yourself, within this difficult time lays greater good than we can imagine. Give it some time. Let it rise in the oven of human affairs, and it will come forth as something that will feed us and thrill us, inspire us, give us greater hope for the good in the future. God saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good. Shall we say our statement of being now? God is all, both invisible and visible, one presence, one mind, one power is all. This one that is all is perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance. I am the individualized expression of God, and am ever one with this perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance.
Hello friends at Valley Church. I hope you're hanging in there with all this crazy stuff going on and crazy times. I'm okay. This is a song that came to me when I was singing in the trees. Some of you may know I sing in the trees every weekday morning in these beautiful oak trees. And now is the season of change and fall, and all the acorns are falling to the ground. I mean, hundreds of them. They're amazing. And so this melody came to me, and it's just about change and accepting change, which is what we're going through right now. And but it's also kind of like a big musical hug. So I'm going to give you a big musical hug this morning. And this is called Falling Acorns.
And this is the time of our healing meditation. Now, everybody in this room is well trained to get still, close their eyes, and go within. But I don't know about all the folks who are listening or looking at us over the internet this morning. I don't know if that's a habit of yours or not. But I'll tell you one thing. If you don't do it, oh my goodness, this is going to be a crashing bore for you. It takes a little while for us to unwind, to get still, because we carry so much tension in our bodies. So right now we're asking you to close your eyes, give it a try, and take a deep breath. And begin to relax. It doesn't happen instantaneously when we put our minds to it even. It takes a little while. I know for myself, I find myself leaning over or doing something and my body, my shoulders, arms, they're tense. I'm not even aware of it. And I try my best to just relax and let go. Why carry so much tension? We don't need to. It's best if we don't. So right now, let's deliberately take that deep breath and relax. Let go. Let go of the physical. Scanning our bodies. Checking out our faces, our jaws, our necks, and oh, those tense shoulders, arms, and hands. We deliberately relax them. Relax, relax. And then we follow that up with letting go of shoulders as well as the back. It's most comfortable when it's straight. Our stomachs don't have to be held in tightly right now. Let go. And the legs and the feet. And once we become relaxed, there is a gentle feeling of peace that comes over us. Our thoughts slow down. But this morning, shall we follow that ancient tradition of putting our thumb and first finger, index finger, together? And then still our thoughts, but only feel our hands. Just pay attention to the hands. Do they feel warm or cold? Do we feel a gentle tingling of the blood moving through the blood vessels in our hands? We never pay attention to them that way. We're not very often. the feeling stills the thought. That incessant yammering that's going on in our heads. That is the feeling of life. God life within us. And that life permeates everything, everyone, everywhere. That gentle feeling in our hands is repeated a billion times around the world. God manifesting in and through all. We affirm this universal life. We affirm this universal mind. We give thanks for this universal, unconditional love in which we are wrapped, cradled, protected. This protection, this love, this life force is everywhere in the people you love, the people who are on our Valley Community Church prayer list, friends, neighbors, co-workers, our armed forces scattered around the world. Indeed, it is present in every world leader. And we give thanks that it is so. Because as God said in Genesis, everything is good and very good. And now we affirm the power to see and know that good, that life, that love, right where we are. Thank you, beloved friend, guide, father, mother. Thank you. Shall we get still for 90 seconds and continue to thank God for that feeling of life within us, the good manifest throughout our world. Come unto me, all ye who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. And we have rested. We've relaxed. We've celebrated and given thanks for God's good. Thank you, dear Lord. Amen. And now shall we say this beautiful translation of the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who is everywhere, your name is sacred, your kingdom is come, your will is throughout the earth, even as it is throughout the universe. You give us our needful bread from day to day, and you forgive us our offenses, even as we forgive our offenders. And you let us not enter into materialism, but you separate us from error, because yours are the kingdom, the power, and the song and praise from all ages, throughout all ages, sealed in faith, trust, and truth. Amen. Well, this morning I'm going to be talking about love thyself. There's a wonderful story in Judges, the 4th chapter, 1st verse. And it goes, "And the children of Israel again did evil in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord delivered them into the hand of Jabin, king of Canaan, who reigned in Hazor, the general of whose army was Sisera, who dwelt in Harosheth of the Gentiles. And the children of Israel cried unto the Lord, for he had 900 chariots of iron." This is the Canaanite king. Had 900 chariots of iron, and oppressed the people of Israel for 20 years. And Deborah, a prophetess, the wife of Lapithor, judged Israel at that time. Unquote. Well, Deborah was something else. She was the most famous, the most celebrated, most powerful woman, I think, in the Old Testament. Born around 1100 BC, she had a unique role in that society. Now, the average woman of that time was basically confined to the role of a daughter, a wife, and a mother. Most women were limited to the activities right in the home, where they were taught from their childhood the skills of being a homemaker, and that was to cook, to weave cloth, I should say, that was made into clothes, to help with the growing and the harvesting of the food, and to get water from the local well, and most importantly, as a wife, to produce children, as many children as possible, and preferably sons. But Deborah's position was dramatically different. Now, we're told that she was a mother as well as a wife, but Judges 4:5 says, "Deborah dwelt under the palm tree between Ramtha and Bethel on Mount Ephraim. And the children of Israel came up to her for judgment." In other words, she was the one who was able to wisely settle disputes between various parties or individuals. The Bible doesn't tell us anything about her background or what skills or strengths or gifts brought her to this remarkably powerful role that had actually been bestowed on her by all the people, all the Israelites. But rabbinic tradition says that the words about her judging under a palm tree testified to her fairness, to her openness, and her refusal to show partiality to anybody, a person or a group. But there was no doubt a lot more to her than what met the surface. There was no doubt sharp intelligence, and indeed a natural sense of fairness, and those things certainly brought her to that position. But Deborah was also called a prophetess. So she must have had certain, and certainly she demonstrated, intuitive gifts, psychic gifts. Now, as outstanding as these talents were, her greatest gift was a profound faith in God, a love of God, and a deep sense of God calling her to right the wrongs that had been inflicted upon her people. Jabin, the king of Canaan, not only had demanded tribute from the Israelites for 20 years, but he had confined them to the unproductive hilltops of the country. It was in the valleys where the really fertile land was. And in addition to that, he had denied them commercial access to the highways. So the Israelites had suffered great economic hardships. Jabin's control over them was backed up by this very famous general, Sisera, as well as those 900 chariots of iron with archers with their long-range bows, and it's likely that all the foot soldiers fought with iron spears and shields and armor, mail. On the other hand, the Israelites' weapons were of bronze and copper, nothing like the strength of iron. Their daggers, their swords, their slings, and their short-range bows and arrows. That was a non-equal contest between these two. Their only protection was probably leather-covered wooden shields. That's not much. They certainly didn't have any armor. The Canaanites had very carefully guarded the secret of how to make iron from the Hebrews. Deborah sent for Barak, who was apparently the most highly skilled Hebrew general, and she told him to gather an army of 10,000 men from the northern and central hill tribes. They were then to be taken to Mount Tabor and to the river Kishon, and God would deliver them, that is the Canaanites. He would deliver them into his hands, that is Barak's hands. And Barak answered her, "If you will go with me, then I will go, but if you will not go with me, I will not go." He wasn't letting go of this spiritual power. He was not letting go of her. She should go someplace else, and he should go to the battle. She had to go along. And Deborah answered him that she would certainly go with him. But he was not going to get all the glory for winning this battle. The Lord was going to see to it that the famous Canaanite general, Sisera, would die not in battle, but at the hands of a woman. Well, General Sisera got wind of the fact that this army was being collected, this army of 10,000 Hebrews. And so he gathered his own large army and his 900 chariots of iron and joined battle with the Israelites near the river Kishon. Apparently, the river was at flood stage, and the chariots, those heavy iron-clad chariots, as well as these heavily armed soldiers with their coats of mail, got stuck in the mud, couldn't move around the way they were supposed to, and they were killed to the last man by the lightly armed Israelites. General Sisera escaped on foot. He was exhausted, and he went close to a tent and asked if he could just rest for a little while in this tent. He asked it of this Canaanite woman by the name of Jael. Excuse me, not Canaanite. She was Kenite woman. Her name was Jael. And she invited him in. He asked for some more. She gave him some milk. And he lay down. She covered him with a rug. And in just a matter of seconds, he was asleep, exhausted. Whereupon she hammered a tent spike into his temple. What follows this rather gory description of his death is a long and very beautiful poem that describes everything that had happened. Now, how did Deborah know the particulars of all of the outcomes of that bloody but critical battle with the Canaanites? Do you remember that her greatest gift actually was a profound faith in God? Obviously, a deep love for God, as well as the spiritual ability to hear his words, to know what God's intentions were. What a gift that was. But also what a huge responsibility it was. Remember now, she was raised in a society with her mother and her aunts and her sisters, her friends. All the women she knew were traditional, stay-at-home daughters, wives, and mothers. That was her milieu. Only these women, they only, rather, played those roles. There were no outside roles that they had no part in the larger society. Of course, Deborah must have been a little different from her childhood on. I'm sure the family noticed the differences in her. Perhaps intellectually gifted, curious, sensitive, intuitive. Yeah. But because when we are children, we don't want to be different. We want to be part of the group. We want to be accepted. We want to be like them. It may have been a very difficult time for Deborah. But somewhere along the way, she began to accept the fact that she thought differently, she felt differently than the other people she knew. And that was all right. No doubt she had spiritual experiences. God became so real to her. God became a living presence that she totally relied on. She had complete faith in this God of the Hebrews. Somewhere in her early years, she began to accept herself, her differences. She began to love herself. Be the person she really was. Unique, different. But different in a way that was helpful to other people. Different in the way God wanted her to be. You suppose she made mistakes? Of course she did. Everybody makes mistakes. Do you think she mentally beat herself up for those mistakes? Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe instead of being internally critical and ashamed of herself, she learned and grew through those mistakes, those errors in judgment. And she began to love herself and feel good about herself for never, ever making that mistake again. The Bible really tells us very little about Deborah personally, but we can probably figure out some of her strengths, some of her thoughts and feelings, and use her as a role model. We have all had that same feeling of being different from other people. But that needs to be a reason to love ourselves, love our differences. If we live with a hateful, critical inner voice complaining at us all, criticizing us all the time, we are making ourselves prone to some very bad health problems, depression, and on and on. Instead, our thoughts, we have to work on this. Our thoughts have to be kind, encouraging, forgiving, loving to ourselves. Yeah, but how about those mistakes everybody makes? We make. So does everyone. Our greatest and most beneficial realizations come out of those mistakes. We need to learn to see ourselves as humanly imperfect, but that's okay. Spiritually, we are perfect. God made us that way, and we are gradually learning to express all that we are spiritually. We need to be kind and forgiving and supportive of ourselves when we suffer, when we fail, when we get sick or feel inadequate. And everybody does from time to time. That is loving ourselves. God loves us unconditionally. And she wants us to love ourselves, because that is the only way we're going to learn to love God and other people, by starting with ourselves. You know, mantras help. Saying positive things over and over to ourselves. Research backs that up. And believe it or not, looking into the mirror and saying to ourselves, I appreciate you. I love you. You did a great job. Or, that was tough, but you did your very best. That helps. And smile at yourself. Smile at yourself. Sometimes we have never gotten those words from the people who are closest to us. All the more reason why we should say it to ourselves. I am unique and wonderful in my own special way. God made me that way. Love His handiwork in you. Don't criticize it. Now, if others are critical, demanding, unkind to you, don't take it personally. Don't do it. They are in pain. Perhaps the pain is a matter of fear that fills them. Striking out from their own inner demons is often what they will do. And it has everything to do with them and very little really to do with you. So, don't take it personally. Loving yourself is taking care of yourself. Ask yourself, what do I need? And do that. Not what do I want, but what do I need? And then do that for yourself. Never ever sacrifice your well-being to please another person. Sometimes we do that. Sometimes we're trained to please others. Self-love is not being selfish. We are taught that we should always put other people first. That's not so. That's not so. First, you love yourself, you take care of yourself, and then you can genuinely love and wisely help others. Your physical, psychological, and spiritual growth is your priority. That's what self-love is all about. And I think that Deborah loved herself, and that was why she was able to help so many people. That's why they had 40 years of peace after that battle. The watchword is, love yourself. Say it to yourself now and from now on. Let's go within and love God's handiwork in us. Love our uniqueness. Feel good about it. Feel proud of it. Give ourselves a pat on the back for our integrity, for our honesty, for our wanting to do whatever we do the very best we can. Love ourselves. Not something bad, something to avoid, but something to cherish and practice. Now and from now on. Thank you, dear God. Amen.
This is a song by Elizabeth Melvin. She is a song leader, songwriter, an amazing person. You should check her out. She leads live singing, song leading on Zoom now. Anyway, she wrote a song called Make Good Trouble, which is based on a tweet by John Lewis. And I feel anxiety about the election and all the stuff going on in the world, so I wanted to sing something both fun and empowering. And this is the tweet that it's based on. Do not get lost in a sea of despair. Be hopeful. Be optimistic. Our struggle is not the struggle of a day, a week, a month, or a year. It is the struggle of a lifetime. Never, ever be afraid to make some noise and get in good trouble. Necessary trouble. So I love you all because you like to make good trouble. And I like to make good trouble. And we're going to make some good trouble together right now. Stand up and make good trouble. Speak up and make good trouble. Rise up and make good trouble. Get up and make good trouble. Stand up and make good trouble. Speak up and make good trouble. Rise up and make good trouble. Get up and make good trouble. Stand up and make good trouble. Speak up and make good trouble. Rise up and make good trouble. Get up and make good trouble. Stand up. Never be afraid. Good trouble. Make some noise. Speak up. Make some noise. Make good troubles. Rise up. Never be afraid. To make some noise. Get up. Make some noise. Make good trouble. Stand up. Never be afraid. Good trouble. Make some noise. Speak up. Make some noise. Make good troubles. Rise up. Never be afraid. To make some noise. Get up. Make some noise. Make good troubles. Never ever be afraid to make some noise. Make some noise. Never ever be afraid to make some noise. Get up. Make some noise. Never ever be afraid to make some noise. Make some noise. Never ever be afraid to make some noise. Make some noise. Never ever be afraid to make some noise. I know sometimes we feel afraid. Never ever be afraid to make some noise. We're not alone. ever be afraid till your heart beats. Make some noise. Let it push you forward, push you forward, push you forward into the world. Never ever be afraid to make some noise. Make some noise. Never ever be afraid to make some noise. Make some noise. Never ever be afraid to make some noise. Make some noise. That you know we're not alone. We're in this together. Yeah. This is the struggle of a lifetime. Make good trouble. This is the struggle of a lifetime. Make good trouble. This is the struggle of a lifetime. Make good trouble. This is the struggle of a lifetime. Make good trouble. We're strong. This is the struggle of a lifetime. Together. That is not despair. The struggle of a lifetime. With me, we're in this together. This is the struggle of a lifetime. Make good trouble. And that is the struggle of a lifetime. No love is gonna win. We're in this together. The struggle together of a lifetime. Forever the trouble. That is the struggle of a lifetime. Make good trouble. Give up. This is the struggle of a lifetime. Make good trouble. This is the struggle of a lifetime. Make good trouble. This is the struggle of a lifetime. Make good trouble. This is the struggle of a lifetime. Make good trouble.
Wow.
Make good trouble. Make good love trouble.
You want me to do the blessing of the gifts first? Yes. Okay. Well, we will bless the gifts if you will read along with me. Today, I acknowledge God, omnipresent, as the source of all good, as the source of my good. With this acknowledgement, I accept His will, which is abundance in every aspect of my life. I release all thoughts of lack and limitation, and I am open and receptive to the increased flow of abundance to me right now. I joyfully accept the gifts of life and the special gift that I am. Through me, God omnipresent blesses and multiplies this gift for all. Thank you, dear God. And indeed, I thank you for the gifts that are given by the people in this room and the ones who look at us through the internet. We are especially grateful for those gifts. Last month, we had to dip into savings to cover our expenses. And then in the last 10 days or so, we got a double whammy. Our heating system in this room stopped, and it will have to be replaced. And in addition to that, we were told that our roof needed replacing. So, we thank you so much for whatever you can do to help us in this time. We certainly need it. Thank you. Thank you in advance.
Morning, everybody.
Good morning.
At least it wasn't cold this morning like it was last week, so it's been kind of warm in here even if we had no heat, so that's okay. Got a few announcements this morning, so the few of you that are here, stay awake and we'll get through this. Daylight saving time, if you can believe it, ends next week, so next Saturday night before you go to bed, put that clock back an hour so you get an extra hour's sleep. So, and I'll remind you again Saturday night or Saturday afternoon sometime. I'll make a call about it so people don't forget. Also, the flowers this week, as always, they're beautiful flowers. They're sponsored again by Martha for the congregation. So, everybody, please take one or two or whatever to take them home with you. As Maurita talked last week, our heat went out in this room, and I want to thank Jerry because Jerry has been over here meeting with contractors this week, and he got us a. He's a negotiator, so anyhow, we had we got three estimates, and this unit is at least 23 years old. We thought maybe it was the original one, but when we looked at the date, it's at least 23 or 24 years old. So it's going to have to be replaced, and they're going to start it Wednesday and hopefully have it in by Friday. The cost is $5,500. So, as always, I have very much faith that the money will always be there, and always has been and always will be. The other thing is, that when we had the gutters cleaned this a couple weeks ago, the guy said you need to really look at the roof. We have a roofing guy coming. He hasn't been here, to my knowledge, yet, because I haven't heard from him, but the roof is 40 years old. It is, Maurita confirmed that this morning, that is the original roof. So, we can't really complain about the roof or the heat. Things do happen, but anybody that wants to make an extra donation, if you donate online, I did go in on Easy Tithe and made a drop-down box for maintenance if you want to go in and make an extra donation to help cover some costs of that. Anything anybody wants to give, we greatly appreciate. We haven't had, because of COVID, we have not had fundraisers this year. The only thing we've really had is our store in there, which has brought us in over $800, I think, at this time. So for a little bit of people that have been here, that's a great thing. So we appreciate all the work that Martha has done with that. Again, I appreciate Jerry meeting with the contractors, being over here, taking care of that. Also, we had to have the lights replaced in the other part of the church, and he has done that. He did a great job. As always, I thank people. Sometimes I forget to do it, but I always want to thank people that do things around here. Jerry and Ann and other people, and Martha, they keep things going. Things just don't happen. They just, come in here on Sunday and everything just shows. It's all fine and dandy. There are people behind the scenes that take care of stuff. So I'm very grateful for all the people that step up and help when it's needed. And I want to thank Martha also. Ever since the COVID hit, Martha has taken such good care of me. She buys me all kinds of masks. I'm kind of allergic to some of the spray chemicals that they put out, and so she, bless her heart, she keeps trying to find me one that is going to work really well for me, and all of them have worked, but she just keeps on buying me a mask and hand sanitizer, and so I really do appreciate it. She's taken very good care of me, so I want to thank her very much for doing that. The other thing is, we at the board meeting, we talked a little bit. I know the holidays are coming up, and things are going to be a little different this year. We're not going to be able to have our Thanksgiving dinner, and we'll talk later about that. But for Christmas this year, we're not going to do the stuffed animals like we used to do because having to have them wrapped in different things. But so we're not going to do that. But what the board did decide is that we will collect socks for the homeless children and other homeless people. So that was one of the things that I think Melanie said that she had learned over the past years at school, that what most of them ask for are socks. So we're going to do a sock collection, and we'll talk more about that as time goes on. Also, we decided again to help the food pantry at MCC's church like we did last year. So we'll be putting up boxes, and we'll get an early start on that for collecting food. And also, I know we like to take care of other people, but I also like to take care of people in our own congregation, in our own community. And I do know that there are people in our own church that struggle sometimes to get food. And so I'm going to also start a box in the annex that if you want to bring some canned food or whatever, that I can pass on to these people, I would appreciate it, because there are people that, like I said, in our own congregation that sometimes struggle with that. So just want, we have to take care of our own as well as taking care of our other people too. So I wanted to do that. We're going to show a movie Saturday night, which is Halloween. So most people aren't doing trick-or-treating this year. I think that's all been canceled. So we're going to show a movie. I'll announce it later this week. And I think we're going to take up if you want to donate some money when you come that night, because they're all going to go to the heat. So anyhow, whatever we normally don't charge anything, we're not going to, but we'll just ask you to make a donation if you can just to watch the movie. So did you have anything, Maurita, that you still got your class on Wednesday night?
Wednesday, yes, at 5 o'clock.
All right. Anybody else have anything they wanted to say? All right. Well, thanks again, everybody, for everything that you do, and for all the people watching. Thank you for watching, and one day maybe you'll come visit us.
And right now, we usually have a final blessing, but because our country is in such turmoil between now and the election to come, we have opted to go within for 90 seconds once again and pray for our country, pray for calm, pray for divine order. Shall we go within and pray for this important cause? And we give thanks for harmony and peace throughout these next 9 days, and a peaceful resolution of any controversy or difficulties. Thank you, beloved Father. Amen.
Amen.